Well, looking forward to getting back at it tomorrow. UT Arlington plays hard. Got a new head coach who's done a great job in this profession. They've got talented players. They played really well versus Oral Roberts. And we know it's going to be a challenge. So looking forward to it, to kind of recap St. Mary's. I think it was a phenomenal learning experience. It was an opportunity we kind of swung at. We felt like we didn't have a quad one win opportunity in our non-conference, although we think we have some really good teams on our schedule. We felt like let's take a shot at it. And if we learn from that loss, we will be a much, much better team in the end. So a lot of things to learn and grow from, have had some really good practices, and are ready to go tomorrow.
What do you see with them in terms of, contrast to what St. Mary's and a lot of people that just saw you guys playing last? How similar and how different are they?
Tomorrow? Or are you talking about? Totally different. When you look at St. Mary's, and maybe I'm crazy for playing them, but I was looking at their roster. They had 8. Their top 8 were on the team last year. And that is very, very rare in today's world. We have some older guys, but we're not experienced together. We're kind of your typical transfer portal team. And then you take Jalen House off from that last game, and we just had a lot of new guys and a lot of guys who hadn't played together. I think Nelly getting here about 3 weeks ago, we've kind of had to hit reset, maybe change a little bit of what we're doing, because I was approaching it like Nelly wasn't going to be here. I was hopeful, but I was coaching the team with the guys that we had there, and I think the style may look a little different with him in it, in a good way, where Arlington is athletic, take you off the bounce, dribble drive stuff, where St. Mary's was way more methodical. And that the only way you can beat St. Mary's is you're probably going to have to beat them in the 60s, like we were able to do last year, where this year we were not. So definitely different contrasting styles for sure.
How surprised were you to see, I know it's happened across the country with some good teams, how surprised were you to see the Sunday result for St. Mary's?
I didn't watch it. From what I've been told, Weber State is a pretty good team. St. Mary's is really good, but they're going to be in a lot of close games. So the way we beat them last year is we made a couple more plays towards the end. And I didn't watch the game, so I don't know the result. I think a lot of weird things are going to happen in all of college sports because of just the evolution of the transfer portal. You don't have many programs with a lot of returners anymore, so I don't know. I can't speak on. I saw the box score. They missed a lot more shots versus them than they did us. That's for sure.
Coach, you mentioned having to kind of reset things when they came in. What were some of those things that might have just been different when you got at it? Yeah,
I think stylistically, I was looking at, JT's going to be most likely our starting 5-man. Sebastian would back him up. Maybe we'll even look at Daraje. And then all of a sudden now with Nelly here, now I'm starting to say, I can play JT and him together. So maybe a little bit more similar to last year with, Josiah and Morris, which is fine. I mean, that's not that's an impossible way to play. So maybe a little bit more ball screen motion versus we were kind of running what we call zooms, which is kind of in the NBA these days. But, I think it's beneficial to keep Nelly near the basket a little bit more than flashing high post and doing those things. So that definitely changed just the whole dynamic when he got here. And we've got to find a way to simplify a lot of what we're doing because he's new to it and there's a language barrier. I mean, his English is not, he says it's great, but I don't believe that it is great. We had a lot of miscues on the road execution-wise with our sets. So just trying to simplify that for him as well.
So over the last week, how much of your focus has been on that post game?
What do you,
like just what you guys are trying to do in the post?
Yeah. Post game, like the center spot. I think it's figuring out how we're gonna play now because I think Nelly, he's physically caught up, and he's gonna have to play a lot. He blocks shots, he rebounds. So now we got to figure out who's going to play along with him and how are we going to play. So, yes, that's been a main focal point. Certainly physicality. St. Mary's, they do a great job of fouling you without fouling. Now, there may have been a few fouls, right? But they're so tough and physical. So we took 2 days off, and then we've had 3 really good practices leading up to it. So I told them after the St. Mary's game, I said, listen, I probably scheduled this game. We weren't quite ready for it. I didn't know Jalen would be out. I didn't know Nelly would get here in November. But, there was a good learning experience for us, and we'll be better from it if we do remember it.
You mentioned how the depth is allowing you to extend the press a little bit more, or look at doing that, and been pleased with that so far?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and we did it every possession at St. Mary's, more to disrupt necessarily than to trap. So it is certainly something I want to do. Now, it'll be a lot better with Jalen House because there's nobody better on the ball at extending than him. So that was a bit of a curveball. I mean, he won't play tomorrow. We thought maybe there was a chance he could play for St. Mary's. So that was very similar to last year where you had Air Force in Wyoming and you thought he could play, and it's his body and he's tough. So, he wants to play, but we got to do what's right for him and his future. But it was challenging not knowing if he'd play. With that being said, I like it. I think it's disruptive. I think we've got the bodies to do it, and we'll keep working on it.
Coach, what's your thoughts on Mustafa after a couple of games?
Oh, he's new. He's new to the program. And like we said, we're trying to figure out how to put a lot of pieces together. As I said before, we have older guys, but we don't have a lot of guys who have played together. And then you throw in Nelly, who just got here 3 weeks ago, and we're all and with Isaac Mushila out 5 weeks, now those guys are back, and we're trying to work it all together. So Mustafa's going to be a good player for us. He's got size, he's got skill. But like every new guy, it's going to take some time.
You did mention Jalen. You said he's not playing tomorrow.
I did.
Is the anticipation that he'll play in the Thanksgiving week tournament?
I don't know. I think it's kind of a week-to-week type thing. So I think we'll play tomorrow, then we'll be off Friday, and then revisit it Saturday and see kind of where he's at. I mean, we want this to heal so that he can play moving forward. We don't want this to be a play one game, out a week, but we can't have that. So the goal is he's not 100%. The goal is to get him to 100% so he can roll the rest of the year. So we'll revisit it this weekend.
What stands out about Arlington?
Their coach does a great job. Has worked at a lot of really good programs, learned from some really good guys. They play very, very hard. They rebound the basketball well. They run a lot of dribble drive. Got good talent. It's not going to be an easy game. All of these games are going to be extremely challenging, and their effort, Arlington's effort level is terrific. So we've got to be ready to go.
Have you been able to? I don't know how much film of them you've broken down or anything, but they had 24 and 14 out of Dewan. What's his name? Dewan
Wagner.
Yeah. Who's played at Kansas State, Missouri, was at New Mexico State last year. What kind of player is he?
He's good. Yeah, he could play he's their 3, I guess you'd say he is, but he could probably play the 1, 2, 3, or 4. Athletic, quick. He can score in a variety of ways. I mean, I think he averages 19 a game. I mean, it's 2 games, or I don't know if you count 1 or whatever, but he's a talented player. I mean, they've got a lot of talented guys in their lineup. And certainly I would assume he's an all-conference type caliber player for sure.
With Nelly, defensively, you kind of mentioned how he's a shot blocker, and that's obviously what everybody thinks of with him. Does that change when you're talking about how to play around him defensively? You guys obviously helped a lot when you didn't have a shot blocker and had long closeouts sometimes for open three-point shooters. Does this ease that up a little bit where you maybe don't help as much and maybe there won't be as much space on the perimeter?
Yeah.
Is that what a shot block is?
Yeah, definitely. You play a little bit more 2-on-2. Most of the stuff comes down to ball screen, so you play a little bit more 2-on-2 and funnel them to the shot blocker. Where we were a little poor versus St. Mary's was, you rotate to block a shot, that other guard's got to chip down, is what we say, and that's where you're vulnerable. Is if you rotate, like I don't want Nelly drawing charges. He's probably never drawn charges in his life. I want him timing it and blocking it, but on the backside, we've got to clean up that rebound, and we had some issues there for sure. So schematically, it's definitely different when you got a guy like him. JT can block shots. And we certainly want those two to be aggressive in trying to do that.
They kind of took Mash out of the game. Are you looking at that as to how to free him up, or was that just unique to that game?
You know, he was 3 for 16. I would say there were some shots he probably would want back, but I think he normally is about 8 or 9 for 16 with the shots he took. Now, St. Mary's one of the best defensive teams in the country. They've got good length. They're terrific. They're physical. I think, but I thought Mash missed a lot of shots that he normally makes. So I'm not concerned with him on that. I think offensively we weren't as good because you lose a guy in Jalen House who's a 17, 18 point per game guy. Like, I know everybody just kind of neglects that, but he's one of the best guards in the country. So I think that hurt the rhythm of the offense a little bit. So I kind of flushed that one with Mash. I mean, he's going to make those.
There's been a lot of change in college basketball the last few years with transfer portal and NIL. One of the other big changes in the last few years, since COVID really, you decided to dive right into this morning with your hard-hitting social media post about the quarter zip versus suit. You are team quarter zip, and I'm curious what you and maybe your dad seem to think about that, because you guys are now maybe the head poster children for team quarter zip versus team suit.
Yeah, well, I've got a list of all the coaches that continue to try to ruin the fun for everybody. I don't. It's like going to a Christmas party and everybody's casual and there's a guy wearing a tux and you're looking at him like, why the hell are you wearing a tux? You're making us all look bad. And that's what my dad, the Danny Hurleys of the world, these guys that a lot of respect for them as coaches, but not a lot of respect for them in their attire. They look great, but at the end of the day, I've obviously, my dad's my dad. You guys all think I talk to him like 95 times a day, but I don't. But I was texting with the UConn assistant, Kamani Young, who's a good friend of mine. And I said, you're the problem. He said, Coach, we won the national championship wearing suits. And I said, all right, you may be the outlier, but I'm going to really do a deep dive into who loses and who wins. But I think about 95% of coaches are wearing the quarter zips. I think, honestly, it's way more comfortable. I'm being selfish, and I'm half kidding with the tweet, but I actually think it looks better on the bench when everybody's wearing the same thing. I think it looks good. So I wish all those coaches that continue to wear suits would stop, because nobody wants to go back to wearing suits, and they're trying to ruin it for everybody.
Have you had any other coaches like?
Oh yeah, I had several coaches text me today from a lot of different programs, and told me thank you for championing the cause, because when you really think about it, I don't know, there's probably low major schools that are not on TV that I don't see, but we see the suits. I tried it in year one because it did feel weird at first. I'm like, man, is this unprofessional? But if the NBA can stick to the quarter zips, and they're the pinnacle of our sport, I think that we should all do the same. So I don't think I'm getting to my dad, that's for sure, but hopefully we could shame some other people into stop doing it. One tweet at a time.